All right, welcome everybody to another OkieTradez study session. So, as far as what I'm looking at right now, haven't seen a whole lot. I'm just looking for stuff that I know really well, and I'm also trying to learn. So that's what these study sessions are for. They're not just for you, they're for me as well. So, and all I can see is what catches my eye, right? And that's all we can do. I'm scanning at the end of the day, what's up on the day. And I have things on my scanner like I'm not really looking for China stocks and it needs to be up 5% and needs to be closing over 5 million in volume. So there could be a stock that's up on the day that's China and has 2 million in volume, just something like that. But really, I want to cut out the BS, forgive the French there, because you know I've noticed over time here that's like if you just trade everything, even if it's a good pattern, the win rate's not that good. So you have to kind of be selective with the good looking patterns based off of like what is the chart. You have the daily chart, but then you also have things like is it a China stock or a foreign stock at all? Like I really don't like China stocks, but I just cut out foreign stocks and then I also cut out low volume, and if it has a spread, I just don't want to deal with it because I realize I don't ever get slippage to the upside, right? But when I try to sell, sure enough, you're gonna get slippage to the downside. You never get that really like great feel. It's always like, okay, that's a good feel, like what you expect, or a really bad feel. Nothing better than you expect. But when you have these trades, right, with lower volume, uh, wide spreads, then what happens is eventually you get got and you get big slippage and $50 loss turns into a $250 loss. And that could spark a little bit of revenge trading. And that's what happened to me. And last week I basically had my biggest red day ever, I think. 2100 in one day, which is pretty crazy. Two big slippage losses in a row. And then I got mad and started risking big money. And I'm not trying to get into all of it, but I know that kind of stuff, talking about like that stuff helps. But yeah, so I realized it's going to be a little bit less trading. And I guess that's what they really meant by good trading is boring. Well, this is kind of boring, right? It's kind of like, well, I'm not really seeing much on my scanner. And I do have a day job, but I don't have to start until 10 a.m. Central, so 11 a.m. Central or Eastern. But anyways, so yeah, there's not a whole lot on my scanners right now, and that's going to be the way I turn it around. Just really focusing on the good stuff because I had a 60% win rate with my best setup, which is still making money, but I could have it probably more like in the high 70s, if not in the 80s, if I cut out the China, because I had like three China losses and a couple of spread losses. And I believe, if I'm winning, that brings confidence and I can size up and just really take advantage of it versus if I'm always just trading everything, then I always get got like once every week or every 2 weeks, and then it shakes me and I have to start the whole process back over. So forget all that. This time I'm really just, and you say, oh, I want to be responsible, right? And I want to do the right things and have these rules. But if you don't really define, you know, a reason for the rules, you can have rules, but if you don't have a good reason, and the reason for me was there is no winning. Like if I looked at stocks that had bad spreads and are China, the win rate is very bad. Like probably like a 40% win rate or 30% on those. But the other win rate's so darn good that the China stocks were just bringing down the win rate to still acceptable levels. But now I realize that I can take the win rate to a really high level again. And then when I get to a hot market, it's going to be like really crazy. It's going to be stupid because I'll have really big size and I'll be confident, and then we'll be in that super hot market, and it'll be coming around, and it might only last for 1 or 2 weeks, but because I'll be ready for it, I'm going to take full advantage. So let's just get into the trades now today. I didn't take the only trade I took was a short. And I'm not even going to go over that because that was Bryce's trade. I just followed his alert, and I knew about the trade basically because of I've seen it a million times, and I've actually traded in the past, but I felt confident once he said it. And anyways, it was called a first red day pattern. But this is what I'm kind of looking at: 5 minute charts, low floats, high volume. So I want to see like over 2 million to start the day, and then midday like 5 million, late in the day like 7 million, something like that at minimum. But this one, you can see it's a really good runner on the day, right? Went from $2 to 350, well 380, but this is what I'm seeing just right off the bat. Like, I don't know if you saw that, but that's like the most beautiful thing. But it's hard to see when they have low volume and they're probably not right on your radar right off the bat. That's what makes a wedge tough. So what I really like about these 5 minute trades is like, so you might miss this wedge, but then it pushes and it holds. That's where you would see it. And that's where you can take full advantage in this window right here. So in that window, what do we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, all topping at 221. Well, that one's 220.05, but 221, 221, 221, right? So, and I talked about this, I believe, in the last study session that on these 5 minute charts, I really like it when they top out three, four, especially 4 times, if not five. Wow, right? That's crazy. And then you kind of get this little wedge scenario right there. It's kind of like that. And yeah, so that was a really good trade right there. And how I would get out is while it's just basically staying strong because it's a 5 minute chart, I'm not as quick to sell. They're usually a little bit slower movers, but if a stock just busted straight up, fine, I'll sell. But this one just crept slowly up, and then once it had that red close, I'd just sell it right there for sure. Or I'd probably just sell into this little bit of parabolic push and be happy with the trade. So whatever, what is that? 222, risking 215, we'll say. So what is that? 7 cents. And it goes 222 to 247. So 25 cents, 7 cents. So 25 cents divided by 7 is what? 7, 14, 21. So 3 point something risk reward. You always want at least 2 to 1, I think. But, you can get away with 1 to 1 if you have a high win rate. But yeah, so I really like this where you get a 5 minute chart and it just goes sideways. You see it after a strong push, and it's not too overextended, of course. And then you get a sideways 1, 2, 3, at least 3, but you could get away with 2, but usually 3 is where you're like, okay, now we're really cooking, and then 4s for sure. And then with that higher low, I don't know how I didn't see this today, but yeah, that was a really good one. I wasn't paying too much attention to stocks today because I started off with a really good green day. But then I figured we could also look at this one where it doesn't really work, but we'll go over it, right? So we have a stock that tops out what? One, two times at the same level, right? Because I want to see a stock make a big move, and then I want to see it, because that's how I know to look at it. It made a big move. Now I want to see it go sideways, and I want to see it top out at the same level a couple of times. So this one is what, 175, and this high is 175. So like I said, I want to see three times, but two times is acceptable, especially with that, length of time in between it. Then you get that pullback, had it would have hold right there and then went, I would have took it, right? But then it pulls back and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not, or this is what I would be thinking if I was watching the stock. I didn't trade it, but it's kind of holding VWAP, right? And then it tops out. Look at these candles, one, two, three times at 166. Like, okay, over 166, that's where I want to buy it, expecting that it's going to get over that 175 double top. And then we get this nice little tight candle right there. What is that? 164 with a low of 161. So 3 cents right there. You could potentially take it right there at 163, expecting it to get over 166, and then expecting it to get over 175. And then once it pushes and starts to fail under 175, you just cut it at 174, 173, and you made a good gain. So 164 to 174, 10 cents, risk from, and you were risking 3, right? You got in at 164, risking 161. So that's, again, basically 3 to 1 risk reward, a little better. Just in that little move, and you had a lot of like really good signals right there. And you might say to yourself, well, it's just a little bit of sideways action, but also I forgot to imply, it kind of is a wedge right there. So when it's within the wedge, you get the double top, pulls down, and you get that super nice little entry that's telling you it's going to break the wedge. I don't even need to draw the wedges anymore. I can just see it, and I know it's just a waste of time to have to draw them, but you need to do it for probably 4 years before you don't even have to. Or it took me probably 4 years before, because you don't see wedges every day, so, and they're always different, and so it takes a long time for you to be able to just see the stock and think, okay, that's actually a wedge right there, but I'm just looking at this consolidation area. All right, everybody. Well, this was a bit of a longer one, and I did that because, I haven't had a lot to talk about, but I have had a lot on my mind, and really made some tweaks to my trading. And so far, it's been a bit boring, but off to a good start. 2 good green days in a row since my big $2,100 loss day, and I'm up like, what is it? Almost $400 in the last 2 days. So we got some climbing to do to get back to that 2,100, just to get back to where I was, right? But again, I'm going to keep pushing size as long as I keep winning, so it should be pretty exponential. And whenever I get a good multi-day breakout, I'm going to nail it because I know exactly how to trade them. And that's another big tweak that I'll be talking about with Bryce coming up here pretty soon. So we're going to do a study, me and Bryce study session again. We haven't done one of those in a while, but this is going to be a really good one. So, hope y'all enjoyed the study session, and I'll see y'all again. All right, take it easy.